people love the Columbus Metropolitan Library. I actually grew up on Dewey Drive, and that's not a joke. And so whether or not that had anything to do with my becoming a librarian, I guess will remain to be determined. Libraries really reach everyone in the community, and they reach all ages, all backgrounds, all demographics, and it was that community place where everyone felt welcome. And ultimately that product, if it was human development or education or whatever it was just something that I could look at and say that was really important work in the community. And I'd just say it really inspired me. One of the things that I was doing in college is I was working for United Parcel Service, so I was loading trucks at night, and I had an opportunity to go into the management side, and you know, as great as that was as an experience and helping me pay for college, I really did know at that point. I turned down that opportunity because I said I wasn't sure at that point what it was, but I knew I wanted to do something else. Actually, my background was in communications, television, and film, and I went to school at the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, which was a central Wisconsin school. And in this program, I had an internship working for a cable access company, and I think you see those today, the government channels where they're doing government meetings, taping city council, that sort of thing. I actually did that, but our studio was located in a public library. I think you imagine yourself worrying about what you will do, right? And trying to think about, all right, you know, what will my life's work be? And I think there were some opportunities along the way, and I was thinking about doing something else, and sort of almost serendipitously, libraries sort of came my way, and I became interested in it, and it's been an incredibly rewarding profession all along. I actually pursued a master's in library science from the University of Wisconsin-Madison without ever having worked in a library. When I'm out and I'm introduced as a library director, it's not uncommon for somebody to grab my hand and say, get up close and say, we have the best library system, or I love our library, and it's, I mean, that doesn't necessarily happen everywhere, and Columbus people love the library. Really, one of the beauties of our profession is there are so many niches in our profession, and I think so many people find a home that matches to their specific and individual talents. I've had the great benefit of working with colleagues in 4 or 5 different libraries, and librarians are pretty much like the general population, made up of all types and all types of personalities, and some of the most outgoing people that I've ever met are also librarians. Really what I keep in my personal library are books that are signed by authors that I've met, and so those are really my most valuable books. I don't have one personal favorite. When I have access to 3 million items, now it's pretty easy to get access to whatever I want or to reread something that's important to me. Probably the areas that are most important for me are working on the strategy and vision of the organization, and making sure that not only the people within the organization but the people in the community understand what that is. Part of it is boiling all of that down to get it to the point where you can say, okay, this is that message that we want to take forward that the community understands. And then I think the second piece is really connecting with the community, being that face, that person that people equate to the library, so that they know that the library is represented in key community meetings. We're recognized in the business community, but we're also recognized just by the users, not only then through me, but through all of the people who are located in all of our buildings throughout Franklin County. We're privy to a report that the Department of Education did in Ohio that showed that 130,000 children go into kindergarten each year in the state of Ohio, and essentially 40,000 are in need of intervention when they show up for kindergarten. Locally, with the Columbus Public Schools, the number is 40%. It's their own data. That's not a school's issue. That's an issue for all of us. That's a community issue. How are we preparing kids to succeed in life? We think the probability and the possibilities are much greater for that child who shows up ready to learn, with support not only at home but support from the social institutions to make them succeed in life. And we realize that there are lots of people who have responsibility for it. As a library system, we're just looking at it and saying, what more can we do to invest in our future? And our future is really embedded in children and young minds. In the time that I've been involved in libraries, it's really gone from sort of stagecoach to rocket ship in terms of card catalogs and paper files to a digital world. There's a quote from Bill Gates in, I think, his book, The Road Ahead, and he said, we have a tendency to overestimate the impact of technology over 5 years and underestimate it over a 20-year period of time. And I think that's right. My first job was an internship in a newspaper library, the Wisconsin State Journal, and we actually cut articles out of the newspaper and filed them. I mean, that was library work back then, and you laugh because that's never been a part of your experience, but that was real life in terms of how reporters access stories. We do know that in the Google age, we have fewer reference books because it's easier to get a specific fact from a digital source than it is perhaps a reference book. So it's had an impact on reference books, but it's been much slower to impact nonfiction, fiction, children's books. Popular reading remains awfully strong. It's not only in libraries. You visit your local mega bookstores or you look at the success of Amazon.com. People are going there for not just digital content, but something they can actually hold in their hands. Libraries are one of the institutions that really were the early pioneers, early adapters, if you will. I think that's why libraries have continued to flourish. So I think our real challenge is to watch how those trends are emerging in society and making sure that we remain relevant in society.